Have you ever thought to yourself, why am I here? What is my purpose? I think we all have. And often, finding out those answers can be difficult. Have you ever said to yourself, I'm not the same as everybody else. I'm different. I feel so misunderstood. Yes, many of us have thought that as well. Well, you're in for a treat because in the next 55 minutes, our mission is for you to discover the guru in you here on Mystic Misfits. Now here's your hosts, Heather and Russell.
Hello there, everyone in the A to Zen radio universe. This is Russell Scott and Heather Embry, and welcome to the Mystic Misfit program. Welcome, 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 and another welcome just to make you feel even more welcome. This program is for all you folks out there that are spiritual seekers, but just don't seem to fit in any prescribed religious path or dogma. So as Mystic Misfits, we explore and we question and we inquire into the deep nature of self, existence, love, others, and other wonderful mysteries of life. And instead of bowing down to a guru, we'd rather bow down to the wisdom inside of ourselves, because as Mystic Misfits, the only place we're really going to fit is in our true self. So this show is about getting in touch with our divine essence within, learning how to live from that authentic and real place, and becoming more prosperous as Mystic Misfits. Now, we have only one rule for this show, and the only rule we have is don't believe in anything we say or anybody else says on the show until you, in your own investigation, find it's true. So tonight, we are going to be talking to a good friend of mine, Terry Hodgkinson, on becoming a prosperous mystic misfit. So hello there, Heather, and I hear you had a wonderful weekend.
Yeah, I did. Actually, just following up from our last week's show, I spent 3 days at a workshop with a training workshop for family constellations, and the host was Mark Wallen, who just works around the world with doing family constellations, and he inspired us and really humbled us this past weekend, including myself, in getting really deep work done on just around our family systems, around the aspects of bonds with our mothers, bonds with our fathers, and how the lack of bond, how that impacts our lives and our own sense of self. So we just learned a ton this weekend around family constellations. So that was great. It was the last of the level 1 training that I got, which was wonderful. And so onwards and upwards is all I have to say with the next levels of training, but really happy to be able to start getting it out there to the community and start bringing the core work that we did this weekend as well as over the last 2 years, and bring it in to help others with their own development, soul development, and life awareness.
Yeah, and congratulations, you got certification on facilitating family constellations workshop now.
Yeah, for level 1.
You do such a good job at it. You're really talented at this. Yeah.
Thanks, Russell. You're not biased at all. But.
No, I'm not biased. Just because you're my partner, I'm not biased at all.
Yeah, well, it's just, I totally, and I think anybody who does this work and is learning as a facilitator trainer just absolutely finds it close to their heart and very meaningful, and just knows that the work is so important to get out there. I think one of the major realizations that I had on this weekend was the notion that how interlinked we are with our victims in our ancestral history. We worked on a systemic issue in my family system, and it was from 2 generations ago, where we I was identifying with the victims of World War II and how it was really impacting my life. And it's hard to sort of describe it over radio. It has to be experienced. It can sound a bit hokey on some level, but we all in our own DNA or in our own cellular memory or our own soul memory, we kind of get it when we're like, yeah, and absolutely. I could never understand why I cared so much about the injustices of World War II on a really deep level, and this weekend really showed me how much I was so intertwined with my ancestors' experiences with World War II.
Mm-hmm. It's quite magical work, the family constellations. I agree. It's just amazing how just unconsciously you can get in touch with the dynamics of your ancestors and bring that into more conscious awareness. And just some simple insights can really change the way you view your life and help you let go of inner barriers.
Mm-hmm.
So
it really,
yeah.
Yeah, it was. I think the greatest part is the whole part that when our hearts are shut down on any level to our ancestors or our family system, I mean, because of trauma or because of fear or self-protection and so forth, it will almost in a weird subconscious way, he really talks about subconsciously how it will attract those experiences into our lives in a different way. So whether it be in the interactions we have in life or the people we meet, and those, if you want to say more fearful or challenging circumstances of life, he really describes it as being a friend to our life, including illnesses and so forth, because they're there to really show us how would you describe it? What we're missing or what it is that we're not acknowledging in our own family system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tonight we have thank you for sharing that, Heather. We have a really wonderful guest tonight. A good friend of mine, Terry Hodgkinson. I've known him for maybe 30 years, and we're going to talk about I think it's an important subject. How is it as mystic misfits we can become more prosperous in life? I think there's this challenge that many of us have on the spiritual path of really cultivating our inner awareness, but at the same time trying to maintain a balance between our outer success. So Terry is going to talk about that. And just let me tell you a little bit about Terry. So Terry has pursued excellence since the age of 12 when he began training in martial arts. He went on to become a martial arts and meditation instructor, eventually owning multiple schools of over 15 years. After experiencing the power of the mind through martial arts and meditation, Terry expanded his knowledge and business experience by opening and operating a Positive Changes Coaching and Hypnotherapy Center in Toronto. He received his master's certification in psycholinguistics and hypnotherapy from Dr. Patrick Porter. Terry also trained with Dr. Tad James at Advanced Neurodynamics and with Dr. John Grindler, the co-founder of Neurolinguistic Programming. Terry, in 2008, Terry was appointed Vice President of Training for Porter Vision, the creators of Zen Frames, a creative visualization relaxation system that assists people in realizing their personal achievement zone. He studied in over 100 different temples, ashrams, and schools worldwide. He's also published a book called Memoirs of a Wandering Ninja, Walking the Path of Enlightenment, and has recorded over 40 guided meditations. More recently, Terry has joined the leagues of Dr. Richard Bandler and Dr. Patrick Porter in becoming a strategic mind messaging provider for Q Dreams, the fastest personal development system worldwide. So Terry's seminars, courses, and retreats, and also his latest book, Promote Health and Well-Being, his unique style and devotion to his clients and students have given him an outstanding reputation. Some of his highly acclaimed seminars and retreats include Breakthrough and Succeed, Tai Chi Vitality, Assault Prevention, Meditation and Awareness, and the Satori Awakening Intensive. So, Terry, I want to say hi. Welcome to the show.
Gee, that was a mouthful.
Yeah,
You got to trim that to just Terry.
Yeah, I think so.
That would be good enough, really.
Yeah, we'll take the whole show introducing you the next time.
Well, I just wanted to say, before we started, I just wanted to say, I'm out here on my yacht in the Mediterranean, and I just want to thank you for inviting me to your show, Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
Oh, that's my Friday show. This one is the Mystic, right? Oh, okay. I'm on my yoga mat right now, Russell.
Yeah, yoga mat, yes.
Let's proceed.
and I'm in my yacht, in my thing here, in my little canoe. On the yeah.
Well, the really funny about all that is neither am I famous, nor do I have a yacht, and I don't even own a yoga mat.
So Terry, you're known as the Wandering Ninja. So that's a really interesting title. Tell us about this. What got you or other people to refer to yourself as the Wandering Ninja?
Yeah. It's funny, I get a lot of strange looks when people hear that. They wonder if I'm going to sneak up behind them or something, I guess. I don't know. But how that came about was at a certain point in my life, after I had opened a few businesses, I decided that I was going to go travel. And everybody kind of thought I was kind of crazy leaving two businesses and just heading off for 6 months with a backpack and wandering. I really had absolutely no particular destination, except I knew I was going to land in India, and I didn't even have a hotel booked. And for 6 months I wandered around Asia, did 6 different countries in Asia. And the other part of that is I have an extensive background in martial arts, been training since I was 12 years old. So when I came back from my trip, I did a little writing, and my good friend Dr. Patrick Porter said, you need to write a book, because every time I get with you, you have these interesting stories to tell. So finally I listened to him. I sat down and wrote a book, and I called it Memoirs of a Wandering Ninja. And from that point on, people started calling me the Wandering Ninja.
Oh, that's great. Hi, Terry. This is Heather. We haven't met in person, but now
Heard
we're
a lot
meeting.
about you, Heather. Don't worry, it's been all good. Russell hasn't
Okay, that's
anything.
good. Yeah. Well, how much did Russell pay you for that one?
I can't tell you that. I'm sorry. I'm down to secrecy.
You have a yacht, so. So just in general, when you were speaking about traveling over to the East and 6 countries, what was it that drew you there? Why the East, and what did you find there that you didn't find in the West?
It's a great question, and a lot of people would say to me, well, what are you looking for? Or some people would say, well, you're going to find yourself. That's not the case. In my situation, I was having Kensho-like experiences, glimpses of my true nature through martial arts training. We had some property up north, my martial art teacher, and I worked on the property, and I would have these brilliant, awakenings that happened spontaneously, and then getting involved with some other work, I had some satori's or some enlightenment experiences, and I really enjoyed it so much that I thought, I wonder what other people in the world, how do they approach this? I sort of came to it through martial arts and then through some other spiritual work, and I had this curiosity to know, what other people in the world did. And because my martial art background comes from Asia, I thought, well, why not just hop on a plane and go and investigate? So part of the reason that I went was because I wanted to meet a lot of different people from different cultures, and I wanted to participate in different techniques and different meditations and different ways of thinking that would allow me to understand what they do, and also give me more opportunity to use some of that in my own work back here.
Okay, that's amazing. Thank you. So that no wonder you're called the Wandering Ninja. So where do you live now, or where do you base yourself?
Based out of Toronto.
You're out of Toronto. Okay.
Yeah,
great.
I'm in Costa Rica quite a bit, and I'm heading back to Asia in October, so I do move around a little bit.
Okay.
But my base is in Toronto.
Okay. So do you go and do teaching in the East, or are you just go back there?
I have done some teaching,
okay.
And I've done some work with people who have requested it. I also do seminars and things in the United States and in Costa Rica as well. Most of them.
And on your yacht as well, I hear. Yeah. Or maybe your yoga mat on your yacht. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. A good friend of mine who's a martial artist has a yacht, and I go out with him quite often. And I'm really happy that he has it so that I can use it all the time, because I just don't really want to have to maintain it like he does all the time.
Yeah.
It's nice to be on and enjoy, but I like to have the responsibility with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're going to hear more about the work you do, Terry. We're just going to take a station break right now, and
Great.
we'll find out more after the break. So if anyone has any questions or they'd like to ask a question of Terry, please call in at 815-880-8255.
We welcome your phone call, your questions, and comments. Please call now, 815-880-TALK. Come on, what's stopping you? 815-880-8255. You can Skype us for free from anywhere. Just add us to your Skype. a2zen.fm is our Skype name, or you can find the logo and click on it on our website. Call now at 815-880-TALK. Chat soon.
You're listening to A2Zen FM, life-altering talk radio. Anything from activism to Zen and everything in between, right here and now. Informative, inspiring, engaging. Our hosts provide you with the global news and educated advice you need to make a difference in your life, in your world. Knowledge is power. A2Zen.fm.
Hello and welcome back. We're talking with Terry Hodgkinson of Inner Outer You and Positive Changes Hypnosis about the issue of becoming the prosperous mystic. You can get on Terry's newsletter at www.yourinnerpotential.com. If you want to call in to ask Terry a question, please call 815-880-8255. One of the websites you have is www.innerouteryou. Terry, so what challenges you... Sorry, Terry, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yep.
Okay, all right, great. And Russell, are you there? Russell, I think we might have lost Russell.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's strange.
He's probably meditating. He'll be back in a moment.
He's off meditating. No, he left. Oh, gosh. Okay, so I'll just continue asking the questions, Terry. We're not sure. Sometimes he had one time where he had challenges with his computer, so I'll just keep going on with interviewing you if you're okay with that. Okay, so I'm just going to ask you in general is one of the websites that you have is www.innerouteryou.
Yes.
And just to go on with that is just if you can explain to listeners or just to give us a sense of what challenges that you feel spiritual people or so-called spiritual people have in our modern culture, in our modern culture and what we have to live with on a day-to-day basis, particularly around prosperity and material world and so forth.
Yeah, that's a great question, and definitely something that I've faced time and time again. I remember when I first started getting into some solid spiritual work, and I got so deep into it that I kind of lost touch with the outer workings of the world, and I kind of disappeared from my family for a while. Like, as I was in my early 20s, I with my mom and my dad and my sister, and I had a niece and a nephew there, and I kind of just vanished for a while. It wasn't something that was a necessarily a bad thing, like being a cult or anything. It was just a choice. I was really focusing on myself. And I found that, a couple of years went by, and I had missed a lot of different opportunities, not just with family, but in life in general. And I thought, wow, you can really get immersed into this spiritual work. And you can get so immersed that you get into it, and everything else just kind of fades off into the background, and including, providing an income for yourself.
Right.
Sitting under a bonsai tree for a long time doesn't necessarily produce income. And you better hope that something falls down that you can eat, because otherwise you're going to be scrounging around for something to eat. So it hit, it really hit me that you've really got to have a balance between your inner world of exploration and also the outer world.
Right.
Tools that you need to navigate through.
It's true. And for your own, so how long did it take for you to come to that realization on your life path?
Years.
Sitting under the Bodhi tree going, oh, okay, I can't eat anything. And where am I? And am I safe?
Oh, there's
Yeah.
Oh, you're back. Hi, Russell.
Yeah, I was meditating, and what happened was I just disappeared. I became a non-self. Yeah. But
we figured that.
I just decided that this non-self business really doesn't work for me, so I decided
and then
I
he
would
heard us
exist.
talk about the outer you, and he zipped back in really quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to back up a little bit on that, Heather, when I was in my late teenage years to probably about 26 years old, I really totally devoted myself to martial arts and meditation, and a lot of people called me a monk for quite a long time simply because I lived a simple lifestyle and was very happy doing it, but I was very intensified in my practice, and I think to some degree that was a good thing because it really helped me to break through some internal barriers and progress in that way. But in a lot of other areas in the outer aspect of my life, I missed a lot, and I sort of fell back in relation to any progress, monetary things, even just comfortable living. So it hit me at that point that kind of like the Buddha who went into the forest and he lived a very strict sort of ascetic lifestyle, and then he said, "Holy man, once in a while it's good to eat something."
The enjoyments of life.
Yeah, it's like let's get a little balance into this equation here. So at that point it hit me, and I thought, no, there really does have to be a balance in both areas.
Yeah.
So in general, if you were to define prosperity or what it means to be prosperous, given the spiritual aspect as well as the material aspect, how would you describe that for listeners?
Yeah, for me, being prosperous is about having the ability to go as deep as you want inward to the core of who you are and to experience that and the joy of that, the beauty of that. On the same token, to be able to go out into life and to accomplish whatever it is that you want to accomplish. And for a lot of people, if they're, accomplishing might not be being, a millionaire or a gazillionaire or, whatever that entails. It might be living comfortably and, breaking through certain fears that have held them back from perhaps having a promotion in their career or building their own business, or getting up and giving a speech in front of 100 people or talk or something. We all have had sort of this conditioning, this upbringing of being personal experiences of maybe being held back, these self-imposed limitations from memories and experiences of the past. And in my eyes, it's when you can break through those, when you can get in a sense of flow, whether that flow goes within to the core of who you are or that flow goes without into life and helps you to, instead of being fearful of different things, just flow into them and look at them as a great experience, just as the experience is going within if you're good at that. And when you can get that flow going both ways, to me, that is, living a life of prosperity, inner and also outer.
And, I think when you look at people that are truly enlightened, like the Dalai Lama or many of the great spiritual teachers, very few of them had this deep desire to become a millionaire. In fact, I think, what I see, maybe you could comment on this, is that they need less and less to make them happy, and they seem to be more innerly fulfilled, and their prosperity may not have the same standard, as people that that live a more affluent lifestyle.
Yeah, I think there's truth to that, Russell, and I also think that it's different for different people. And we go through different cycles in life as well. And you get to a point within yourself where you can be totally fine with everything. You don't need anything, and yet somewhere down the road there might be a calling, or there might be some kind of draw for you to go out and do something.
Mm-hmm.
And out of that energy and out of that flow of whatever you're called to,
Yeah.
you might amass great fortunes from it.
Yes.
The
So
thing
you
go ahead.
So you're saying that maybe a person's prosperity might be related to them finding out what they really should be doing in their life, what their gift is to give to others.
Yeah, when
the energy comes from that.
Yeah, when somebody figures out what their sort of predilection is, what that calling is, and they just naturally flow with that, and it flows well for them. I really don't think they're concentrating on the wealth of it, other
That's
than
true.
just moving through the flow of it, and the wealth comes because that they're moving through that flow. And I remember this story I once read, which I actually put in my book, More as a Wandering Ninja. And it was about this student in India, and he was with a very reclusive teacher in meditation who was very poor, and he didn't mind being very poor.
Mm-hmm.
But the student got to a point where he couldn't, get any deeper in his meditation. So the teacher sent him to another teacher who owned a palace. And the student protested and said, I don't want to do it. He's got nothing to teach me. He's got all these wealth, these riches, and women all around him and everything like that. And the teacher says, I cannot help you anymore. You have to go to this other teacher. And so he goes, reluctantly, knocks on the door. The big palace door is open. He sees, all kinds of wine and women and everything all over. And he's just about to turn away. And the person who is the teacher, who is, very wealthy, says to him, come in. He says, no, mine. And so he walks in, and he's just repulsed. And the teacher says, listen, I know you don't want to be taught by me. He says, stay the night. You've come a long ways, and in the morning you can leave. So the next morning, and he says, listen, before you leave, come down to the water, to the lake there, the pond, have a bath, and you can be on your way. So they go down there, both of them. They both take off their loincloths, and they slip into the water, and next thing you know, about 10 minutes later, the castle's on fire and it's burning down, and the dude jumps out and he says, "It's fire, fire!" and he grabs his loincloth. And the guy who's wealthy and he has everything in his castle, and he's still sitting in the water. And he goes, "What? Don't you care about the fire?" He says, being attached to something doesn't necessarily go away. Even when you are after saving a loincloth, look at how that's still a part of you.
Yeah.
He says, let the castle burn. He says, I'm not attached to it. It's okay. Yeah. When my flow is flowing, I can always find something else that will replace that.
Yeah.
He says, but I don't have that attachment. And that's when the student got it. And he says, oh my God, here's this guy who's losing everything. The whole thing's burning down, and I jump out of the water and save the spot.
And that man was prosperous. He had an important loincloth to save. Yeah.
Great material.
So Terry, how do you think? What do you think you can offer to people to just a few suggestions to become more prosperous? So, how would you help people if somebody came to you and said, I'm a spiritual person, do lots of meditation, do lots of yoga. I have a loincloth, by the way. And I want to become more prosperous. What would you say to them?
Okay, well, my first instruction would be to get rid of the loincloth. Just throw it away. Because that really loosens you up when you're standing naked, right? And then you everything bubbles to the surface, and you're wondering, how am I going to flow with this?
Yeah.
No, really though, I mean, this is an interesting question, Russell, because obviously everybody is an individual, and everybody, within inside themselves have different things that they're facing in life, and this is why I have a coaching center. I've had my coaching center for 14 years, and we do professional coaching and also hypnotherapy. A lot of people think hypnotherapy, is a strange thing, but really what it is just reconditioning the way the subconscious mind has been taught to react in certain situations.
Yeah.
And, but off the top of my head, in a general sense, again, it's about that flow. If a person is in touch with that flow, they can go inward and they can reach those depths within inside of themselves. And, they can also, if they turn that flow and let it flow the opposite way, because they're in the center of it, then they can move through. When they don't, then what they need to do is perhaps look at how they can start to teach their mind to think differently. And the nice thing about doing certain processes in the mind is that when you do them in a certain way, they actually do affect the subconscious mind. And that subconscious mind really does dictate to us what we do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So give me an example. Let me give you an example.
That's good.
Yeah, somebody is an example who has something that they want to achieve. And again, I've worked with lots of different things over the years. The two biggest things that I've worked with, which are the biggest markets, are obviously losing weight and stopping smoking. But I've also worked with fears, phobias. I've worked with people who have extreme pain. I've worked with confidence in business, public speaking, all kinds of different things, even fear of driving on the highway or flying, or all these different things that people come in for. And a whole bunch more that I'm not going to tell you. But basically what happens is they've run this sort of program, and it's sunk into their subconscious mind, and now they've forgotten that they ran that program, and it's on automatic. It's just kicking in into similar situations, okay? So let's say somebody has a confidence issue or a motivation issue or something, and they want to go out and they want to do something, but boy, procrastination sure feels a lot more comfortable. It's easy to sit down and think about it, and maybe one day you'll do something about it, right?
Yeah.
But that's not going to get you to where you want to go if there's something that you do want to accomplish and achieve. If you run your own business, then you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because if you sit back with your feet up all the time, the business isn't going to run by itself. If you're looking to do better in a particular position at work and you want to, perhaps get to a different position, then you've got to be able to display certain things so that somebody's going to take notice and say, I could use you at this particular position, and, it'll be beneficial for everybody. So let's say there's something in the way, lack of motivation, lack of confidence, lack of assertiveness, whatever it might be, the tool that is proper in context for that situation. So often when people come to me, I'll say, well, is there ever been a time where you felt really, really confident in any aspect of your life?
Yes.
And they'll say, when I was doing this, or I was in sports and I had no problem. It was like, And so what we do is we say, okay, well, go back to that time in your mind and pull it up full sensory. See what you were seeing when you're in the middle of that baseball game or football game or soccer or badminton, whatever it was, or in the middle of rowing, or or maybe it was another experience where they did something and they were maybe in school they were just very confident because it became natural. But they get into that and see what they were seeing then, and then feel how your body was. How was your body feeling when you were really confident? What were you saying to yourself inside your head? Because often we say things like, oh man, I'm going to nail this one. Like, I'm going to send this over the net and it's going to really fly. And that, hearing us say that is an indicator of that's the state of confidence.
Right.
And so when we get into a full sensory experience of what it's like when we're confident, and then we bring that into the present situation where we need confidence, because sometimes we lack confidence in certain areas of our life. It doesn't mean that we don't have the confidence. It just means that we don't have it, we're not used to it, we're not familiar with it in this area. So we can actually role play that with inside of ourselves from an earlier time, visualize and feel and move ourselves into that state, and then get out there, practice it until it becomes a part of us, and then once it's practiced of times, it becomes much more natural and much more normal.
I see. Yes.
Now, one more thing on that. Just somebody will say, "Oh, well, I've never been confident in my life," or "I've never had motivation in my life." That's okay. That's okay, because you know what? A lot of the times we learn from other people. So everybody knows somebody who's motivated. Everybody knows somebody who has confidence. Everybody knows somebody who is assertive. And even if it's just somebody that they watch on TV and they go, "I'd like to be like that person. I wish I had that attribute or that trait." There's a process that you can do. It's similar to the one that I just mentioned, where you actually put yourself in a day, visualizing yourself going through a day as that person, seeing through their eyes, feeling with their body what they would feel while they're confident or motivated, and hearing what they would hear, and full sensory experience. And when you take that on so that you actually become that particular person, it's a modeling exercise. And I first learned this in martial arts, by the way, when I had to model people who were better than I was at what they were doing, because I was so young and so fragile and so vulnerable that I couldn't stand on one leg and hold my other one up in the air if my life depended upon it. It was pretty bad, I got to tell you. So I had to model, well, how does this person do that? Like, and, how does that person do this? And I had to get in their body, in their head, and take on what it was that they were doing so that I could actually try it on for myself. And eventually it clicked. And I thought, oh, yeah, hey, this is working pretty good.
Yeah.
And then
so if you can't find that resource in yourself, you find it in somebody else.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So we're going to take another station break, Terry, and so if anybody would like to call in and ask Terry a question, our number is 815-880-8255. We'll be right back.
You're listening to A2Zen FM, life-altering talk radio. Anything from activism to Zen and everything in between, right here and now. Informative, inspiring, engaging. Our hosts provide you with the global news and educated advice you need to make a difference in your life, in your world. Knowledge is power. A2Zen.fm.
We welcome your phone call, your questions, and comments. Please call now, 815-880-TALK. Come on, what's stopping you? 815-880-8255. You can Skype us for free from anywhere. Just add us to your Skype. A2Zen.fm is our Skype name, or you can find the logo and click on it on our website. Call now at 815-880-TALK. Chat soon.
Hello, Mystic Misfits, and we are talking with Terry Hodgkinson of Inner Outer You and Positive Changes Hypnosis about the issue of becoming the prosperous mystic. You can get on Terry's newsletter at www.yourinnerpotential.com. And if you want to call in to ask Terry a question, please call us at 815-880-8255. So Terry, I'm dying to get in here to sort of talk about and comment on what you've just been sharing in this last 15 minutes with the listeners. But even that aspect of, it sounds like even the path of self-mastery that you're describing with martial arts and prosperity and the importance of non-attachment, whether that be non-attachment to wealth or non-attachment to poverty even, and how in many ways the spiritual path is to reach our potential, which is what your website is all about.
Right.
So that just is amazing to me, because that whole space where I find even a lot of spiritual people have a belief that it's important to be poor, to be spiritual, or to give up everything, but that in and of itself can be an attachment.
Yeah.
As well, just that whole perception. And it actually takes a lot more, and sort of hearing about it, it's just bringing up all of the parts within me that goes, wow, it takes a lot more courage in many ways to get out into the world and to meet one's potential than it is to just sit in a cave and meditate.
Yeah. And I think awesome. I think too, maybe Terry, you could comment on this, is that that actually going out into the world and expressing your potential is actually a spiritual exercise as well. It's not just sitting at home meditating on the loincloth that expands your spiritual potential. So, I mean, would you say that there's a certain reality to that actually going out and becoming prosperous is a spiritual discipline as well?
Yeah, I think it's a practice, and there's a lot of ways to look at practice, and some people do have the belief that spiritual practice is about living with little and not allowing any of those outward distractions to take you away. But I think you limit yourself when you take on that belief. What better of an idea could there be than if you were that spiritual, to be that connected to the inner part of you, the core of who you are, to test it in the outer world? If you go out and you start getting involved in different things and you lose touch with that core of who you really are, then what a great time to practice your spiritual side and say, hey, I need to be able to stay in touch with that inner aspect of who I am and the true nature of what I know that I am, and yet still move forward and let that shine into everything that I do, and stop worrying about this conflict about losing my my inner spirituality because I'm involved in life and achieving my goals, and also, when you're out there and you're shining in a way that you're flowing with life, you have such great remarkability in being able to offer so much more to people just through them becoming aware of what it is you do. And when they become aware of what it is that you do, then you introduce your life work to many more people.
Yeah. And now you've written a book that I've read. It's called Memoirs of a Wandering Ninja, Walking the Path of Enlightenment. And by the way, I think it's just a wonderful book. It's really about this whole subject of mastery, and there's sections in the book: mastering your communication, mastering your meditation, mastering your diet, mastering exercise. I mean, it covers almost every aspect of your life to master. Now, if you were kind of to, in some way, sum up maybe one or two things that our listeners could do or concentrate on, that you can get from that book, what would you say? What are you've talked about kind of modeling or getting in touch with an inner state that'd be helpful. What are some other things you think that have been helpful for you to become more prosperous and spiritual at the same time?
Okay. Well, first of all, read the book.
Yeah.
That always helps. No, but what's really helped me is just becoming more aware of where I am in the moment. And when I say that, I look back, and reflect back on a lot of past experiences, and I look and I see myself in certain areas of my life where I was comfortably numb. Now, I was making progress in one area, but I was using that as an excuse to shield me from the other areas that I really did want to make progress in, but I was afraid to, for whatever reason. Whether I was insecure, whether it was something that was stopping me, I didn't have the proper resources or the proper tools, and I was unsure. There could be a lot of different reasons, but I was comfortably numb because I was basking in this one area of where I was flowing, and it was like, yes, this is great, and I don't really need to. But when you really get honest with yourself and you really are mindful of what's happening with your thoughts and how things are working, and you say, hey, wait a minute, is it really that I'm not interested in that, or is it really that I'm being, worked to this angle because of my limiting beliefs or because of the fear that I feel or anything else? And when you can get really mindful of your situation and you realize, you come to a point, then you're ready to act. You're ready to move forward.
That's right.
To progress. And until you hit that point, it's like anything. It's like a person with an addiction. You can't go anywhere with that addiction. You can't progress anywhere with that addiction until you say, hey, I've got an issue here, and I've got to do something about this. And there's
an old statement: you can't change what you're not conscious of. So that's so important. Just to become conscious of what it is that's blocking you, and then it can be changed. Yeah,
absolutely. Whatever's in the darker, that greatest place of potential. I think even Carl Jung spoke about it as in the unconscious. When we can break through where our fears or insecurities or humanness lies, then we have the great potential to actualize ourselves.
Yeah. I want to add one thing to that, Russell.
Yeah.
And that would be that sometimes our mind is stronger than when we sit still and we become honest with ourselves, to see the light of our situation. Sometimes we're so comfortably numb that we have ourselves totally convinced that what we're doing is the right thing. And, at times, and I mentioned this in my book too, how I've gotten around that, because it's a very, it's an ego thing too, where you're just feeding off the ego, saying, you're fine, you don't need to look at that stuff, keep going with what you're doing, and it's just like, I'm going to listen to that, great, okay. But I found that when I put myself into experiential workshops, seminars, or courses, when I got out of my comfortable, little corner in my office or wherever I was in my martial arts school, and I said, you know what, I'm going to sign up for this retreat. I'm going to sign up for this seminar. I'm going to sign up for this, and I started getting out. And all of a sudden I was thrown into these situations where I had to really look at myself, in the different exercises that were taking place that I had never been known about before.
Yeah.
And it brought me to a point to realize that, man, have I ever been living in my head? Like,
yes.
Hello.
Yeah,
I should have put my loincloth on my head.
Yes,
Yeah.
Exactly. And when you get out there and you do some of this work, no matter what it is, as long as you just get out and do something that's good.
Yeah.
It'll help you. It'll nudge you. I mean, you don't want anything too aggressive, but you want nudges. You want some nudges to move in areas perhaps that you might have been resisting before, and see the light. And I'm a big supporter of being nudged, because I do think people who are comfortable do need from time to time a little nudge out of the darkness, and just let them see a little bit of that light and see, hey, wow, hey, there's a whole world out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let me just let people know they can go to your website, yourinnerouterpotential.com, if they want to get your book. Is that correct?
Actually, if they want to get my book, they go to my website, innerouteryou.com.
Okay.
And it's also on Amazon, any Amazon site, and it's on Amazon on probably about 12 different countries.
Yeah.
So, they just have to Google Amazon and my book, Memoirs of a Wandering Ninja. When they go to the other site that you mentioned, Russell, Your Inner Potential, that is where they can sign up for my newsletter, which they can also do on my website, but they'll get also a free chapter of my book on that, Your Inner Potential.
Yeah.
That's great.
So, Terry, you've got some things coming up, some a trip and some workshops coming up.
Yeah, let me mention that.
Would you like to talk a little bit about that? So
I'd like to just be able to tell a little bit about some of these things. And first of all, I also wanted to offer another gift to your listeners. If they go to this website, which is called www and then Strategic Meditations, so that's all one word, Strategic Meditations, and make sure you put the S on the end of meditations.com. This is where I hold a lot of my auditory meditations, along with Dr. Porter, Dr. Richard Bandler, and some other great contributors. They can go to this website and they can actually, they can put their name in and their email in, and for 5 days, they can have the ability to listen to a lot of the sessions on this website. So, it'll give you, and the Mind Library is where all the sessions are. And if you go and you check it out, in this particular site, if a person was interested, they could actually pay like it's a subscription, so you pay $30 a month, no contract, it's just a monthly fee. And if they wanted to continue to listen, then they could listen forever. But the 5 days, there's no payment, it's just a trial, and you can listen to them. And I think it would be a great thing for people who are interested in guided auditory meditations.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as the events that I have coming up, well, this Saturday I have a 2-hour meditation in the morning from 10 till noon. And I do that on a regular basis, usually about twice a month, for people who are interested. And I have, a bunch of people that come out every time I do it, and who, are experiencing, different levels of meditation, and they really enjoy it. So that's this Saturday, and again, if you get onto my website, you'll see when I post all the different, I keep it updated quite frequently, so you'll see every time I post a new one. I also have a fire walk coming up that I'm doing in conjunction with another trainer, and that'll be in October the 19th, where we actually help people to learn the state of mind and everything that they need to, so that they can walk across hot coals. And
wow. Russell, I think we should sign up for that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my loincloth to that one for sure.
You put that on your feet, Russell.
That's right.
You can learn how to not be attached to your body and when it's burning.
Yeah, I can go for that.
It's amazing that you can learn to not be attached to that loincloth, but it sure comes in handy for a lot of things, doesn't it?
especially if it's an asbestos loincloth. Yeah.
I just want to talk a little bit about the fire walk. When I ran my martial arts schools, when I had students get up into the upper levels like black belt, I always wanted to do something special during their black belt test. And the test itself is pretty grueling. We really didn't need to do anything too special because of just the nature of the test. But I always offered them an option, and the option was either to do a fire walk or a sweat lodge with the Ojibwe Indians. I had done a lot of work with the Ojibwe Indians. We flew in two elders from Winnipeg, and they would come out and we'd do the whole sweat lodge ceremony, and it was brilliant. And I would always offer my black belt students a choice: which one would you like to do, so that they could pick one or the other. And so I'm just starting to reintroduce this now to a lot of the people that I work with, because I really do feel that when you do something like this, it just helps to get you into a different state of mind to realize what you really are capable of. I mean, it's not going to change anything huge in your life in relation to the major problems, but what it will do is show you how you can reach a different level of your mind to do something that's pretty fantastic. And then if you can do that with something like this, why can't you apply that to the other areas of your life where you feel stuck?
That's right.
And so that's really the lesson there.
So that's just an example of what you said earlier of accessing
that's all it
this
is.
This state, and then using that as a foundation.
Remember we talked about
to bring that into your life.
Feeling?
Yes.
We talked about that comfortably numb feeling. These particular events are to help a person. It's that nudge. It's that nudge that gives them that push into the light and says, "Holy, I would have never thought that this was, something that I would have done or could do." And they realize that, and they go, "Well, what else am I not doing because I'm sitting there feeling comfortably numb?" So it gives them that little extra nudge.
Right. And you also have a spiritual journey that you're going to be taking people on, a quest, a spiritual quest to India. Do you want to talk? We've got a few more minutes. Just talk about that if you can.
Yeah, okay. Each year I like to do something, in a different country. Sometimes it's Costa Rica, sometimes it's further away. This year it's in India, and I'm taking a small group of people to India. We fly into New Delhi, and then we're going to go up to Dharamsala, where actually the Dalai Lama lives. And he'll be there at this time, and because he's doing a course for a group there. So, we might have. I met him the first time I went there, which was really amazing because I had absolutely no plans. And remember, I told you I went there with no plans. Well, the first destination I went to was Dharamsala, and 2 days later, I was standing there shaking the Dalai Lama's hand and having a conversation with him.
Yeah.
Totally
so that's going to be coming up then. When is it? October?
We leave. We're going to be in New Delhi on October the 27th, which is a Saturday, and it's for 2 weeks. And we do Dharamsala, Shimla, Rishikesh, where the Beatles were, and then back to New Delhi.
Oh, this sounds fantastic!
It's all in the Himalayas. It's the beautiful foothills of the Himalayas.
Yeah.
Well,
Terry, we want to thank you so much for coming on board and contributing to our Mystic Misfit show. And thank you so much for the suggestions. And so once again, the people can get a hold of you through www.yourinnerpotential.com?
No, actually through my main website, which would be innerouteryou.com.
Inner Outer You. Okay, so people can get a hold of you through those that website to find out more information. Okay, so
thanks
thank
very
you
much
so
for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Terry.
It's been a lot of
fun.
fun.
To meet you.
Yeah. So thank you. And so we're going to have Heather. Do you want to talk about what we're going to be doing in the next show? You know more about this than I do.
Yeah, so for our next show next Wednesday night at 8 p.m., we'll be doing a show on energy healing, the ins and outs. We'll be talking about things like Reiki, hopefully BOSS, which is a form of energy healing muscle testing, and how that contributes to the spiritual path, self-understanding, and the whole part of being able to manage our own energy field. And so we're just going to look at if you want to say, the mystical aspects and the ins and outs that aren't so mystical about the energy healing path and how that is a spiritual path in and of itself. And just for anybody who wants to get in contact with Russell Scott, who is at True Source Seminars, they can go to his website and sign up for his free ebook at www.truesourceseminars.com. and find out what Russell's doing with his clearing workshops, and he has a clearing training session coming up as well. And if anybody is interested in soul intuitive readings or Reiki healing in person or distance, you can go to www.blossomingheart.ca and find out more about what I do. And if you would be interested in coming out to a family constellations event, I do have one coming up in my home on Sunday, September 23rd. So we look forward to hearing and seeing you in the etheric realm next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Have a good, great, wonderful week.